For the first time since 2008, when United and Chelsea faced off, the Champions League final will feature two English teams, two opponents that know each other quite well, and two managers that could really use some silverware, despite being in the midst of some long-term projects. But that's to be discussed later. I'm Adrian, and this is Rabona TV's preview of the 2019 Champions League final between Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur. We'll look at their campaign so far, and given they're also domestic rivals, we have even more encounters and data that we can take into consideration, so we'll do that as well. Let's start with Liverpool and their campaign so far. Both of the finalists qualified directly into the group stage, with Liverpool finding themselves a massive test, having to navigate Napoli, PSG, and a Red Star side that was happy to cause an upset or two along the way. Now, while PSG have shown themselves to be quite poor in the knockout rounds of this competition, they tend to deliver in the group stage, and with Napoli now under the tutelage of Champions League legend Carlo Ancelotti, it was always going to be tough trying to fit three teams into the top two spots. What didn't help Liverpool's cause in this case was the fact that their away form was completely rotten, losing every single match away in the group stage, including their trip to Belgrade. This form, of course, was the complete opposite once Liverpool was playing at home, where they won every single match. In fact, they only dropped points once at home in this competition, which came in their round of 16 matchup with Bayern Munich. This tie saw Liverpool take the Game of Thrones route and subvert our expectations by drawing 0-0 at home with Bayern in what wasn't the most classic Champions League encounters of all time, and then going on to break their away form hoodoo with a 3-1 win at the Allianz Arena. Against FC Porto, a rematch from last season's Champions League knockout rounds, Liverpool won both matches, coming out as 6-1 aggregate winners. Despite the extremely comfortable score on aggregate, there were definitely moments when Porto should have, or perhaps could have, punished them both at Anfield and in Porto. Had Moussa Marega been a little sharper, had some calls gone Porto's way, I don't think the final outcome would have changed. I still think Liverpool would have gone through, but it would have been a lot closer in the scoreline. But taking chances is what this sport is all about, and is a nice precursor to their semi-final matchup with Barcelona. In the first leg, Liverpool did something that many clubs are incapable of doing, dictating the play at the Camp Nou, limiting Barcelona to a defensive performance at times. But as I alluded to, Liverpool weren't up to taking their chances, while Barcelona were clinical. Well, besides Dembele, of course. And thanks to some messy magic, Liverpool suffered a massive 3-0 loss. It's not as though they didn't have opportunities, though. Mane blew a couple, Milner struck one right down the middle, Salah hit the post from a few yards away after an attempt had been cleared off the line. The warning signs were there for Barcelona. And in the second leg, Liverpool were absolutely dominant. But the most notable change was the fact that they were seemingly more capable of converting their chances. Barcelona were shell-shocked, while Liverpool were rampant, and despite the 3-0 scoreline, you got the feeling that if Liverpool could score a couple of goals, then the mental side of the match would be completely lost by Barcelona. A second went in, then a third, and the fourth soon followed, completing a massive comeback and yet another instance in which Barcelona were on the wrong end of a remontada. Tottenham, on the other hand, well, we'll get to their incredible turnaround in a moment here. The fact that Spurs have made it to the final is an amazing achievement, but Tottenham's escape from the group stage is nothing to downplay either. Placed alongside PSV, Inter Milan, and FC Barcelona, I think it's fair to say that both Liverpool and Tottenham didn't have the easiest groups to navigate in this competition. Spurs started their campaign with a 2-1 loss away to Inter, then got slapped 4-2 at home to Barcelona, and then thanks to a late-ish brace from Harry Kane, they got a 2-2 draw away to PSV. Winless in their first three matches, they had to be perfect for the final three, or at least close to it to escape from their group. They got the win they needed at home to PSV. They edged them 2-1. Then they did the same versus Inter 1-0. And their 1-1 draw with Barcelona was enough for them to just squeeze out of the group. But despite starting their campaign without a win from their first three matches, they carried on into the round of 16 in some great form, while their opponent was in a stretch of some of their worst form of their season. Borussia Dortmund had been great prior to their meeting with Tottenham, but they collapsed domestically, and that carried on into the Champions League as well, where Spurs made it look easy against Dortmund. The first match ended 3-0, and then they went on to secure a 1-0 win in Dortmund. That's more like it from Spurs. Pitted against domestic rivals Manchester City in the quarterfinals, Spurs took advantage of a poor City display in the first leg to get the 1-0 win and, impressively, didn't give up an away goal to their opponents. 2 of the goals they scored were born from Manchester City errors, while the third was fortunate in that it came off of Llorente's hip to even the aggregate at 4-4. Arm/hip, the jury's still out on that one. City scored late, a goal that would have made it 5-4 on aggregate, but after a VAR check, it was called back, as Sergio Aguero's foot was just inches offside. That's how close it was for Spurs. They were battered and bruised, going forward without their talismanic striker Harry Kane, but still managed to make it through by a matter of literal inches. Harsh on City to go out in that fashion, but justice was served in the end. Spurs slipped through thanks to the correct call being made. Next up, they had to face an Ajax team that was playing without fear and grabbing a lot of neutrals for their bandwagon thanks to their attractive style of play. With Son Heung-min serving a suspension for the first leg, Ajax predictably won 2-1 in London, and perhaps should have had a couple more if their finishing was just a little bit better. In the return leg in Amsterdam, they had a 2-0 lead on the night and a 3-0 aggregate lead at the half. But an incredible Champions League semi-final turnaround was on the cards once again. These semi-finals were amazing. With a 3-0 deficit, Tottenham captain Harry Kane went down into the Spurs dressing room to help try to light a fire under the squad, and with Fernando Llorente coming on after the half, they pulled it off. Masterstroke from Pochettino. To bypass the Ajax press in midfield, Tottenham hung up ball after ball for Llorente to flick on or take down, as he proved to be vital to their comeback. Lucas Moura was clinical, finishing 3 of his 4 strikes that he attempted in the second half, the last of which coming in the 5th minute of added time. Not sure where that 5 minutes came from, but that's not for me to decide. It was naive of Ajax to not change their approach at all once Tottenham had brought it back to 3-2, but take nothing away from Tottenham's achievement, as once again, they were almost dead and buried, and at the last, they make it through somehow. It was a matter of inches versus City, and a matter of seconds versus Ajax, keeping up with the theme of them finding a way somehow to make it through in this competition. I guess the group stage set the tone for the rest of the competition for them. Now, how do these two match up when we're looking at their domestic matches? Well, if you look at their previous 6 meetings with each other, you can see that Liverpool definitely has the edge, winning 4 of the last 6, drawing 1, and 1 victory to Tottenham. That victory came at the beginning of last season as Spurs won 4-1. Lately, however, despite Liverpool winning the last 2 meetings, the latest one was as close as it can get, with the Reds only getting the victory thanks to a massive blunder by Hugo Lloris. He's wont to do that from time to time. He definitely has some errors in him. He made an error in the World Cup final. Will he make one in the Champions League final? We'll see. So yeah, while a quick glance at their head-to-head record recently would certainly paint a picture of Liverpool dominance, the last 3 matches, despite Liverpool winning 2 of them, saw that they are actually closer together than the results would show. Tottenham's achievement to make it this far can't be understated enough. Yes, they've had some luck. I mean, who hasn't in a cup run? And they haven't exactly been overly convincing at any point in this competition, besides, trouncing Dortmund in the round of 16, the comeback against Ajax, etc. But when you add some perspective to it, like the fact that they didn't spend a penny in the transfer window this season, they played almost 70% of their season at Wembley, and the sheer amount of injuries they've had to deal with, you can't help but give them a ton of credit. To the squad, and to Mauricio Pochettino especially. Speaking of the squad, they've been heroic, with guys like Lucas Moura and Moussa Sissoko really stepping up to the plate. And even someone like Llorente, who has largely been underwhelming at Spurs, has played their part in this team achievement. Everyone's played their part in some respect. As for Liverpool, we're finally starting to see something closer to the finished product of the kind of football that Klopp wants his team to play, with the kind of players necessary to do so. The emergence of their fullbacks and the importance they play in this team is huge, as well as the improvement Van Dijk has brought to their center back position. But, Matip hasn't been a slouch lately either, and Alisson provides a sense of confidence in his backline, something they didn't have while Karius was in goal. It helps the defender so much when they can think, okay, if this guy gets past me, then we still have a chance of not conceding because of the man in goal. It just creates more confidence in the back line. But like Mourinho said once the finalists were set, I already feel sad for one of the managers that will have to lose this final. Pochettino has yet to win a piece of silverware in his career, despite establishing himself as one of the better managers in the world, whereas Klopp has won trophies with Dortmund, but has lost all 3 of the European finals he has competed for, 2 Champions League finals and 1 Europa League final. So you can see how both teams could use a trophy at this point, how both managers could use this trophy, but for differing reasons. It's not as if their jobs are dependent upon the securing of the Champions League title, yet I find they still need these titles all the same. For Poch, it would be a tremendous achievement, and what a first trophy it would be. For Klopp, a 4th European final defeat in a row would be a harsh blow to his confidence and bring on some unwanted associations when it comes to him and cup finals. If Harry Kane is fit, which it's looking like he might be as he's been back in training, then that will be a massive boost to their chances, alongside the potential returns of Vertonghen and Davinson Sanchez. Neither teams have any suspensions to worry about, while Liverpool are hoping that Firmino will be ready to go by the time the final rolls around. Klopp says that he's looking good in training. Also, Naby Keita is injured, but will he play a role? I'm not sure. So, I know you guys love a prediction, so I won't deprive you of that so you can get roasting in the comments section. Now, the ongoing joke is that whenever I bet against Tottenham, they go through. So Spurs fans will be dying for me to predict a Liverpool win. And for that reason, I think Spurs will win. I'm kidding. I'm not going to just throw that out there. That's stupid. I mean, I don't care who wins. I want both teams to win, basically, because as I mentioned earlier, it sucks that one of these clubs will have to lose after this incredible achievement of even making it to the final. So you have Klopp, who has lost his last 3 European finals. Then you have Spurs, who aren't known for making European finals, but are known for just coming up short when they need a result. But looking at the teams, looking at the squads, and looking at the form that Liverpool has been in this season versus the form that Spurs have been in, I do get the vibe that Liverpool will pull this off and win what will be their 6th European Cup, partially because Klopp seems to have Pochettino's number. It's going to be a very closely contested final and be true to form as far as the last few times that these two teams have met. So I'll say 3-2 Liverpool. Sure. Let's go for that. There you go, guys. Enjoy that. Have fun with that prediction in the comments. Again, like the semifinals though, this is a close one. This is a tough one to call. Another one that will be close to a coin flip. What do you guys think? Who will win this one? Either way, it should be a great final, despite me personally not being very fond of finals consisting of teams from the same country. So, Spurs fans, since I did what you want by predicting Liverpool to win, you can send me cash via PayPal for helping you out, or you can just donate during my next stream. Either way is fine. I'm joking though. All right, I'm Adrian. This is Rabona TV. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here. And hey, enjoy the final. Peace.